Hello guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Ankit. I talk about data science and machine learning on this channel. Today in this video, I'm going to talk about LLM models. There has been a buzz around LLM models Gen AI, and now after doing some projects and hands-on work, I think I have found my opinions and I can share those with you. In this video, I'm going to provide you a very high level definition of LLM model in a very layman manner. It might not be highly accurate from the scientific perspective, but it still will serve the purpose. In the second part, I am going to talk about what should you be doing if you want to learn LLMs and what are the key applications I see in the industry. The third part of the video is going to talk about what is the future of LLMs and which side we are heading towards and my predictions around that. And at the end, I'll also provide my views where I talk about how much time you should be devoting towards learning LLMs and how much value it can bring to you. So let's get started. So, what is LLM? LLM is a large language model and it is a model which has been trained on a very large amount of the data. Imagine a whole internet. What it does that it understands all of the combinations of the words and it tries to predict the next word. So there are two major components in LLM. One is what it does. So it predicts the next word in your sentence. That's the LLM. Now, the second part it has to do is it has to look on the context window, which we did not have in other models. So what it does that it looks backward and see how much content you have to form a context and so that you can predict the next word. Basically, it is still predicting the few next words and then you have the highest probability of few of them which is shown to you. This is at a very high level that what LLM is doing. So basically it is predicting the next word based on the previous given context. And the context window is the game where the majority of the big tech companies are fighting for. So previously it was few thousand tokens and now it has reached 128k tokens. So what is the game around this? So basically the larger the context, bigger the model size, hence better the model would be. Do we need such type of model for doing some business specific application? So in my opinion, not all of the problems can be solved with LLMs. Or let's put it this way that we don't need LLM for all of the business applications. So what is going to be the next experiment? I think it's going to be small language models. We'll talk about it at the end of the video. So let's move to the second part of the video where you want to learn or get into the LLM models and how you should be approaching it if you have some applications in the industry. LLMs are still machine learning models or let's say deep learning models and an advanced form of the AI models. So your fundamentals on the machine learning and deep learning still stands true. So if you want to get into the field, you want to build some applications in LLM and wants to know the nitty gritties of the LLM models, you still need to learn about fundamentals of the data science and machine learning and subsequently moving to the deep learning and then knowing RNN, transformers, attention models, etc. and then finally reaching to LLM. But there is also other workaround. If you don't want to get into the science behind it, how it works, and you just want to focus on engineering, you can directly go to the documentation of these LLM models and start implementing by trying those given examples. But what you should be trying for? There is always needs to be an application, right? So you want to build something, you want to provide some application to the businesses. And now the challenge comes in. So the large language models are very large in size. So there are two ways you can access large language model. Now, as of today, while speaking, you can download it in your local system using Olama, etc., and you can interact with any one of the large language model, or you can use the API provided by these big tech companies. If you use the APIs provided by big tech companies, the application from the business is always under threat or fear that they might be using your data. But nowadays, the company has come up with a solution that they will not be using your data for the model training until you authorize. But the second part remains same. You are bound to a vendor locking, right? So you will be always working with the vendor because you have been interacting with them. So I think the switching the vendor is also a big challenge. That's why not a lot of business applications are currently moving to the LLMs. Let's move to another part where the processing is a big problem because you have a very large model. Let's say you have a model which is of 13 or 14 GB, which you need to load in your laptop memory and you cannot interact with it. Hence, you need a GPU. Not all of the businesses wants to take that type of the risk because if you keep growing these type of the models and like in your in-house, you might not be able to manage everything. Another part of this is I don't care about what Shakespeare said if I am building a healthcare product, right? So, I mean, philosophy is separated from the medical, right? So we don't care about it. It's a separate thing. Hence, it will be the best in my interest if you just give me a model which is specifically trained on medical language or maybe on some generic language and then provides me some output, hence reducing your weights, hence reducing the size of the model. So I think that's where the industry will be moving towards, and I'm also trying to get some of the information and some of the business applications done towards that. So now let's talk about how you can learn all about the GenAI and all of these. You can go to Coursera. There are really good courses on Coursera. So I think that should be your first starting point. So you go to Coursera, you start doing all of the courses, and for sure you can audit them. You don't need to pay any single penny to Coursera if you don't want to access the certificate and also their lab. So far I did not find anything very too specific that you cannot do in audit. You could still do everything in audit if you have some knowledge around the data science and machine learning. And the next part of this would be that you go to the particular application of that model and start implementing with some business cases. You can identify some business use case by yourself, or you may also take some business use cases in your company, however you want, and then start publishing it. Whatever I'm just explaining you, it is all about engineering. So data science engineering, or let's say LLM engineering, I'm not talking about science. If you need to learn about the science, you need to know fundamentals of machine learning, statistics, data science, AI, and all all this together, and whatever the name you want to give. But I will call it a machine learning. So you need to know all about the machine learning fundamentals, and then you can understand more about the science going behind it. But let's focus on the engineering side still. The major language what everybody is almost using in these LLM models is Python. So you should know Python, and if you don't know, still you have some courses on Coursera, or you can find something on YouTube. Now, what is coming into the future for? So if you have any specific question about learning LLMs, you can ping me in the comment section. I'll try to answer you. So let's talk about what will be in the future. So I think in future we'll be talking about small language models instead of the large language models. When I talk about small language models, it means that we have a smaller weights, means the model which has been trained sufficiently on a data set that can solve my one specific business problem. Let's take one example. I'm working in healthcare where I always provide generic advices, right? So, for example, if you have fever, you can try paracetamol and etc. So, in such type of applications, you will be training another model which has base weights, maybe a very small weights coming from a subsection of the large language model, and then you are training this with a very specific business. Let's say in this case, the medical knowledge. The size of the SLM has to be quite low so that you can run them frequently in your laptops or maybe on the edge devices. That's where I see the future will go on. And another part would be that we reduce the interaction of human. So right now, if LLM makes a mistake, an SME can correct it because SME knows it. But imagine if it is throwing those values or those interactions and answers to a layman person who does not understand that specific domain, it will become very hard, hence the hallucination problem. So, in order to handle this hallucination problem, I think the companies and the big tech companies, anybody who is building these models, needs to provide an agent who will be self calibrating these models. So there is going to be a future of agent, and I'm not sure for how long it is going to stay, but there is for sure a future of agents which are business specific agents. And that brings to the another point. The third part would be there will be a lot of agents talking to each other. So you will have multi agent systems talking to each other, giving inputs, and these are all agents. When I talk about agents, these are these LLM or SLM based agents. Last but not the least, the way the prices are going down for API 1 million tokens, like from one example from OpenAI, I think it will become a commodity that everybody will be able to access those. And then the engineering, actual engineering will come into the picture. If you don't, if you are not scared about that you are going to lose your data, or you don't want to have a vendor lock, then I think the lower cost will benefit a lot of people around. Okay, now at the end, I just want to close this video by saying that LLM is one of the model. It is not the only model. So if you are new to the data science and machine learning and you are thinking that you will be just learning LLM, I think you are mistaken, because a lot of the work around in the LLM applications will be still on the engineering side. So there are still going to be a lot of engineering work. For example, you can use LLM for getting inputs and providing an interaction to the customer, but behind the scene you will be doing a lot of engineering work. For example, if your model is hallucinating, how you will put those checks. So you might want to build another system which will be doing validation of all the outputs it's throwing, or maybe a sample of the output it is throwing out, right? So you want to do those validation by a system, not by a human. It's not possible forever, right? So you need to have those hybrid validations in. Then maybe you want to do some actions, right? So user said, okay, order a pizza for me. Then you need to have a order management system in the backend so that it can order and it can reach that, and that order can reach to the restaurant, so restaurant can process and provide a update to the customer. So I think LLM is more about customer facing, and you still have a lot of engineering going into the backend. And that's what I see that your learning approach should be, in a way that you know the engineering, you also know the fundamentals, and LLM is one of the model in your arsenal and not the only model. That's all in this video. If you want to know more about LLMs, applications, etc., and how we can build apps around it, please let me know in the comment section. I'll try to answer, or maybe we'll have another video on it. But I just wanted to address in this video that LLM is not the only model you can survive in the industry. You still need to know the basics. You still need to understand a lot of art around the model building, and then LLM can help you to just use the state of the art models. That's all in this video. Thanks a lot, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.